on in. It's mid-afternoon in Oregon and Washington, California, Nevada. But on the East Coast, where Dan Brady is from, it's 3 hours ahead of us. He's here today to talk about his passion to make people laugh. Different questions I'm going to throw at him and see how he can answer them on the spot. This is your chance to get to know him off stage and behind the mask, so to speak. We didn't think we'd deal with it literally, but here we are. Comic Spot was developed by this crazy lunatic here, Linda Marcus Smith, who's an Army veteran, and now I get to vet veterans of comedy. So I'm having a lot of fun at home, alone, unless you count an occasional cockroach. I'm having fun having people in here and via Zoom. Who would have thought I'd be a Zoom girl, but here I am. And we get to introduce our fabulous guest. And let me just get to that because you know how I am with technology. You've seen me try this before.
Hmm.
Get a few tries and then I finally get there. All righty, here. I know it's here. Okay. There's got to be an easier way, you guys. So here's the intro that Dan Brady sent to me to read to you. So I'm not stealing his words. I don't want to be a hack. Dan, Dan Brady hails from the muddy banks of Lake Erie in northwestern Pennsylvania. If you are a fan of dark comedy, and I am, then come listen to Dan's dark yet humorous take on the demons he battles with. He regales the crowd with stories of dark observations from his life, and he is always heavy with the white trash undertones. Well, here he is. He's got a smile on his face from me trying to read his intro. Welcome, welcome to the lit tiny stage here at Comic Spot. Dan Brady over here in the big square up
Uh,
there. Hi, Dan.
hey, thank you for having me. How are you?
Wonderful. Thanks for coming. Welcome. Yes, you're all the way over there in Penn. I love people from Pennsylvania. You guys know how to talk. In case you don't know, people in Pennsylvania, they love to chat. You will not be lonely. Go to
Right.
Pennsylvania. I love it. You grew up there.
Yes.
That's and you're still there. Was there a time in your life where you broke away from Pennsylvania?
Yes. 2006 to 2015, I lived on Camp Pendleton in between LA and San Diego.
I know where that's at.
Yep.
Wow, so you're a Marine
Right.
veteran. Wow,
Yes.
thank you for your service.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
I was in the Army in 73 to 76 in Germany.
Okay.
So we got that in common. We got a connection going here. This is going to be good. What job did you do in the Marines, Dan?
I was artillery.
Whoa. Now, were you
Yeah.
deployed?
I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Thank you for really serving. I mean, really.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, the things that people do to keep us safe. And, like if it wasn't for people like you that really serve, because all I did was go to Germany and count money, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm Jewish, so that wasn't a stretch. And so it's the first time I thought of that joke. So, so you really served. And so, if we're up here slinging jokes in English and not Farsi or some other oddball language that we don't speak in America, we have you to thank that we're saying jokes in English.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah, keeping us safe in the front lines out there. So, were you in the middle and the thick of things?
Uh, Not really. No. I was in Iraq in 2008, then Afghanistan in 2009, and then I did my last deployment on ship in 2014.
So, you were like with the Navy? on a ship?
Yes. Yep. Part of like a world readiness force, but we just kind of sat off of Syria because that's when ISIS really came up.
Oh my gosh. Were there times that you were scared?
I mean, I still had times that I was scared. Yeah. I mean, it's a normal emotion.
Thank you. But I mean, like men, boys and men are taught to never have the girly emotions, and I'm
Oh,
glad that you admit it.
it's there. I mean, it's not natural to not feel it.
You would think, right? But I think a lot of people do deny feelings and they just make it through it and hold it all in. But I'm glad you admit it because I think
Right.
you're healthier. So, you probably had a lot of people in your life in the military who have suffered with PTSD from their military.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that with your response that hasn't been much of an issue for you because you seem like
Uh, Days are different. Some days are worse than others, but I try to prevent preemptive, do therapy. I have a very close knit group of people in my life that will lean on me, and I can lean on them. So not every day is great, but I mean it's manageable.
so. I was in the military and I had PTSD from the men because I mean I was kind of plain in high school and nobody asked me out, and then I went to Germany and I was one woman among 2,000 men,
Right.
and so I was instead of just standing at attention, I was receiving it. So
Right.
that was traumatic for somebody that's average looking, you know. I mean, if I
Yeah.
was Kim Kardashian, I would expect it, but that caused me to have PTSD.
Right.
Yeah, I'm making light of it. It wasn't really that funny in the 70s what happened to
Oh,
women.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've gone through a lot of courses at the VA hospitals where I've lived for PTSD and trauma and coping mechanisms. Have you availed yourself to things like that? You mentioned therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to people. I try to be someone that my brothers and sisters can lean on. Um, a couple years ago, I suffered a pretty terrible loss due to suicide, and that kind of I reach out to everybody if they post something on social media, and I always try to be there. Um, I try to help out best I can.
It's a very serious thing, suicide,
Yep.
among military veterans and also the comedy world.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had somebody that I was on the phone talking to him a while ago, a couple years ago, and 3 hours later, he blew his brains out.
Right.
So that was I'm just now able to talk about it without, tearing up. It takes a while to get over that.
Yeah, let me know when that happens.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So do you partake in any groups where you help lead, like a peer group, or is that among your family and friends that you do it?
That's more or less among my friends. I have a couple of veteran friends that I will call. I mean, even comedy friends, stuff like that. So,
Good. That's that's so fantastic that you pick up that torch and carry it, because all too often people that are on the edge hold it in and give no sign, and sometimes people do give sign, so it can be difficult, or you can miss a sign and feel guilty for years that you missed a sign.
right. Oh, yeah, for sure. Just always questioning, always wondering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go into your life aside from the military then. um, you were born and raised in Pennsylvania and you're still there, so what was it like growing up? Did you always have a funny bone and did people always recognize it, or Did it lay dormant and come out of you later in life?
It was really the military. I've always loved stand up. When I was a kid, I watched Comedy Central present stuff like that. But it was really when in the military and trying to not necessarily find myself but fit in, kind of developed a sense of humor, and then it just kind of grew from there. Eventually, to about 2.5 years ago, I decided to actually try it. So
2.5 years ago. Wow. So your humor started developing, and then there was that moment where you were like, should I do stand up? And so, like, what pushed you over the edge to go try it?
my ex mother-in-law died, and then that day she died, there is a posting for an open mic, so I decided to go ahead and do it.
Now, was she a funny person where you kind of wanted to do something to
No,
honor her?
no, it's just the third of several quick deaths. And it's just like, well, I might as well do this now. So just kind of like take it as a sign type thing. So
Yes. So, what was it like the very first time you went up on stage, Dan?
it was good. I mean, good enough for me to think I can do this. So
And what's
I
it been like in the short of 3 years that you've been doing stand up?
well, I'm also a booker here in Erie, so there is really no like DIY mics. And then so I started doing that, started booking shows, and then um in the before time, a couple times a week I'd go to Cleveland or Buffalo or Pittsburgh, hit up multiple mics. It's just grinding, trying to get better. I started with really hacky, raunchy, dark jokes, and now I think I've turned it into something that's decent. Just trying to put all the pieces in one piece at a time, basically.
So you went around to Mike's with your dark humor, and you also found people to book in Erie.
Yep,
So you were killing two birds with one stone
right.
while you're
Plus,
developing brand new comedy that's dark and you said raunchy.
it used to be not so much anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how people start out with raunchy comedy and then somewhere a few years in they go, you know what, maybe I should take it up a notch.
Well, it's also kind of hacked too, especially depending on the premises and stuff. Like, I mean, abortion jokes, stuff like that. Like, you want to be more you want your jokes to be a little smarter than that because you're not going to gain any traction because everybody hears those jokes.
Exactly. Exactly. So, have you ever heard a good abortion joke that was told in such a good way it was funny?
Um, a friend of mine, he has a joke. I really don't want to say it, but it's very funny. Uh, well, yeah, it's great. I like it. I think it's very well written. I don't think I could have written it, but my friend Dan Alton, it's I run a back alley abortion clinic. It's called Alley Oops.
That's cute. So
So
I have a joke that starts out military and it winds up being about an abortion. Do you want to hear it?
sure.
Okay, so if I'm doing my military shtick, then I say it. I'll go, I served in the U.S. Army. You're welcome. um, and what was I going to say? You're busy. Are you looking at your phone, Dan?
Yeah, I'm listening.
People multitask. I can't.
Yep.
Um, I was served in the military, and I know what you're thinking. No, I'm not a baby killer. And don't even start with talking about our military as baby killers because, it wasn't, I was served in the Army in 73, and it wasn't until 80 that I had an abortion. And then if they don't laugh, I say, "Oh, you'd rather I tell you about the rape that caused me to get the abortion? Don't make me go there. I will." So that's my best joke that I have about abortion.
Yeah, I mean, I have really dark jokes, but I try to stay away from the regular premises and stuff like that. Like,
Yes.
my military joke is basically, I served 8 years in the Marine Corps. I've been in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thank you guys for reacting. Sometimes people don't applause, and it gets awkward because it's like, is this bit gonna die like my friends did?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll say I was in the military for 3 years and they don't applaud, so I say, um, it's okay. It's just the reason you're speaking English and not Deutsch. But don't you think it's gonna bother me? You're not clapping. Whatever. But
Right.
yeah. So yeah, it's weird because there is a lot of anti-military sentiment out there when you're doing comedy, and you kind of have to read the room. Like, will these jokes land? You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about how your comedy has we're all it's gotten you with being a booker. You probably get people that say, "I'll book you if you book me," that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
but that never happens.
Have you found some really good talent and been able to promote it?
Oh yeah, I mean, just I've developed friendships with people that have such amazing talent. Like, I always pitch my friend Tim Ross. He has an album on Spotify right now, Swing for the Fences. It's genius, it's brilliant. Go listen to him. Like, I got guys that I'll book all the time. I also, um I've just been able to watch real pros turn crowds around and, just do different things, and you get to watch them work from the
Yes.
sidelines.
So talk to me about turning a crowd around. Who's somebody that's turned a crowd around where you were just dazzled?
My friend Dan Alton, another, he's a pro comic that lives in Newcastle, Johnny Lee Dam. The feature really didn't leave much for him, but he went up there. It took about 5 minutes, and he kind of got everybody to pay attention to him. I've seen a crowd kind of stop reacting halfway through, so then the comic had to slug it out for a little bit to get him to come back. It's stuff like that.
So tell me about being a book. Were you a booker for years before you got up and did your own, or at the same
No,
amount of time for both?
same amount of time for both.
What got you into booking people right out of the gate?
Necessity to have more mics in the area.
Great. It's such a great thing to do to provide those. What is the craziest or weirdest or scariest thing that's ever happened at a mic or a show that you've been around?
Um,
Where you're like,
well,
I want to go back to Afghanistan.
well, I got a open mic story. We um were basically, we were in a kind of shady part of Erie, and one of my buddy was on stage, and the guy just ran up to him and tried to grab the mic out of his hand, screaming, "I got a joke! I got a joke!" Um, had This past December in Pittsburgh, when I was opening for my buddy Tim Ross at a smaller bar, a woman, a drunk woman, tried to swing on me after her set. I had to be rushed out of the building.
Did she try to punch you?
Yeah, she ran after me when I got off the stage. She was just being impolite, and I maybe went a little hard in my retaliation, but she took a phone call during my set. She was talking the entire time very loudly, and you just kind of get to a point where, well, if I don't react, it's just gonna go up.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, you do what you can do in the moment. Sometimes Sometimes you hold it in, and other times you're like, I'm gonna let it fly, let it rip. This is that moment.
Right. Oh yeah, and you just got to kind of I probably went a little too hard like I said, but she wasn't really giving me anything. Plus when a person's drunk like that, you just kind of have no idea how they're going to react.
Right.
Um
Have you had a heckler really say anything you thought was funny and you could use in your material later?
Not really. I I really don't give much mind to hecklers. I usually just talk louder than them.
Good. That's a very good skill. Absolutely. So, what's the best thing you've seen happen when you've been at a comedy club
Uh
that you haven't mentioned?
I mean, I've just watched crowds react. I've watched great crowd work. Um, just stuff like that. Just kind of knowing that people are laughing and having a great time because of something you put together, something you put your blood, sweat, and tears into. It's a good feeling to make people laugh because they might have needed those laughs in the first place.
Yes. What's tell me, since you're a booker, you have to go out there and look for who's going to be the host, who's going to be the feature, a guest spot, headliner. Tell me
Uh,
what.
I'm usually the host. Um,
Okay,
because I depending on the show or the opportunity that the show provides, I won't trust anybody else.
got it. So tell me when you've hosted shows that you've booked. Tell me a magical time where everybody was just spot on, killing it, and they had different styles of comedy, and the crowd was lit, and nothing could go wrong the whole night.
Oh, uh, probably about a year ago. First show at a new venue. It's a dance hall attached to a beer store that's owned by the strip club next door. Just had a great lineup. We had about 70 people there. Everyone was interactive, receptive, just wall to wall laughter. It is a really good time.
Wonderful. And so, do you find when you're booking a show that you like to have different styles of comedy, like a different, like a girl and a couple guys, or different styles of comedy, or do you just basically book and know it, no matter what, it'll all turn out fine? What's your
Um,
approach?
it depends on the headliner. Like I'll book off the headliner. So
Got
like
it.
if the headliner's dark, I want people throughout the show that just keep getting darker and darker and darker. It doesn't really matter who that is, or if it's a clean comic, I try to find people who are cleaner. Just it all really because you don't want someone who's really dark and squeaky clean church guy. It just everything just needs to kind of flow together.
That's great. I get it. That's a great way to do it. There's a lot of clubs out there that are run by people trying to run a comedy club that haven't don't know about comedy, and you're only in the business for less than 3 years and you've got such a great approach that makes a lot of logical sense.
Just asking questions all the time, talking to people, just kind of seeing what works, what doesn't. Just always learning.
Yes, that's amazing. So when you started comedy, did you take any comedy classes or read any books or just get up there?
I just got up there.
Self-taught.
Yeah, trying to be. I mean, there are books that I read. Um, I can't remember them off the top of my head, but when I went up there, I've just only listened and watched stand up.
Yeah, I love watching real live stand up. I'll watch YouTube, but I get so much more by also watching the crowd.
Right.
So, is there anything that you want to say before we cut this short? Or do you
Um,
want to do any material, sing a song, do tap dance, stand on your head, anything?
just pitch my podcast. I have a podcast called What in the History. I do it with my very good comedy friend Johnny Smith. We just basically it's obscure history. I teach Johnny a topic that I very detailed researched and We try to keep it funny, but we do obscure topics. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at What in the History Pod. We're available on Spotify and Anchor and Google Cast.
Spotify, Anchor, and Google Cast.
Yep.
What in the history? So tell me your favorite episode of your podcast that you researched and was like taken aback by what you learned and taught Johnny.
Well, I like everyone, but one of our more recent ones was about the Mad Trapper Rat River, who in 1931 in the most northern area of Canada, he basically led the Canadian Mounties on a almost 2 month manhunt, and is still the largest manhunt in Canadian history. But nobody knows who this guy was, and it's still unknown. So it was a very interesting story. So I enjoyed that very much. It was pretty fun to research it.
That's awesome. I come from Portland, Oregon, so I don't know if you ever heard of DB Cooper.
Yes.
That's a fun one to research too.
Yep.
Yeah. Who is some that you might tackle in the future for people that want to watch?
Well, right now, doing a couple episodes on a thing called the Whiskey Rebellion that kind of brought into making moonshine illegal, and then we're gonna go into moonshine runners and how that turned into stock car racing, or
Yes,
what we
yes.
know as.
I'm a huge NASCAR fan.
Me too.
Oh, cool. That's
Yep.
awesome. Who's your favorite driver?
Kevin Harvick.
You know who's my favorite driver?
Kyle Busch.
No, I can't stand the Bush boys. No, I don't like people like that. Kevin Harvick. Kevin
Awesome.
Harvick, always.
He's on a tear. He's gonna win tomorrow. I think this is the year he gets number two. He I think he's on 6 straight top fives right now. It's looking good.
Great. That's great. Who was the one maybe 12 years ago that had the blood clot?
I don't remember. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
well, anyway, I wrote him because I had a blood clot, and I had done research on blood clots, so I wrote him. He was really nice. He wrote back and said, "Thank you very much." That's all I know. That's I got into like getting to know somebody in NASCAR.
Right.
Do you have any NASCAR drivers from your area? Because you
No.
have Loudon.
Um. I've been to Michigan a couple of times because that's about a 4 hour drive from here. Loudon's about 8. Watkins Glen's about 3.5 hours. I've never been there. Then Pocono, Richmond, and Dover are all about 5-6 hours away.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And they also have I don't know if you know this, but tracks have great discounts for veterans. Like you can go to California or Michigan for about 50% off.
What? The
Yep.
California Speedway?
Yep.
No way. That's so cool. I live
Yeah.
here in Vegas, and there's the Vegas Motors.
They do it too. Yeah.
Check it out.
It's on the website. Most of their websites, they'll have a spot for first responder and veteran discounts.
Thank you for telling me.
Yep.
Do you ever get out to Vegas?
No, not really.
Do you ever go to New York because you're in Pennsylvania?
I haven't made it up there yet. Like I said, I usually travel to Buffalo or Cleveland, stuff like that. I did have plans to make it up there, but that was 2 months ago. I had plans to go to Chicago. And so a lot of that got canceled.
Oh, I'll tell you. So, from a comedy point of view, this is my last question, Dan. From a comedy point of view, we never got a manual on how to get through this nonsense.
Right.
You've been through the military. You're no spring chicken. You've lived a life. You're out there booking and doing comedy at the same time.
Right.
You're strong. So give somebody some funny tips or some insightful strength way to get through a pandemic, and I'll let you go.
The biggest thing I can tell you about performing is you're louder than everybody else. It doesn't matter where you're performing at. If you appear to have confidence, people will pay attention, people will laugh. A lot of comedy is cerebral, so if you act like you know what you're doing, everything else will catch up.
Oh, thank you. So
Yep.
my question was more about for
Oh,
people out there, how do they make it through a pandemic? What's a way to cope with comedy, with humor through this
um,
crazy time? Like it's
there's a lot of great albums on Spotify. I mean, a couple big comics just dropped brand new albums on YouTube. Mark Normand and Sam Morrill. Joe List is dropping this week. I mean, all three of those are incredible performers. I mean, Hannibal put a new album up on YouTube for free. Kyle Kinane just released his. I mean, all those are great to listen to, and they are all
cool.
masters of their craft for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you for saying that.
Yep.
I'm gonna go listen to Joe List and Mark Norman because of you.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, have a great day. And what's the deal in Pennsylvania? When are they gonna open up?
We're 1 week we're open, the next week we're not. So I have no idea. We're it's all outdoor shows right now, so it's just kind of trying to find new places to perform stuff like that.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, and I just wish you all the best. And thanks again for your amazing service to our
Uh,
country.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and now you're serving up jokes and serving up shows and mics. Mostly shows, though, right?
Right.
Got it. Awesome. Well, when I go through Pennsylvania, I'll have to stop and catch one of your shows that you put on.
All right. Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for having
much.
me on.
You betcha. Dan Brady, you guys, I'm going to put up his links. We're going to get behind and support him. And also, I want to tell you, Dan, in about 2 to 3 days, the pro version of this video comes out, and I'll send it to you if you'll share it with your people.
Okay. I've already shared it now.
Thank you so much, Dan Brady.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody's talking.